Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. This is B. Steve here again. What I'm going to do in this session is I'm going to talk about medical expenses that you can deduct on the Schedule A to attach to the 1040. Now, I do want to point out that medical expenses is not fully deductible, okay? Basically, it has to exceed 7.5% of your total income. Now, what I'm going to do on each segment that I'm going to do going forward, and I'm going to do what you call a warm-up exercise. So that way you can enhance the understanding how the medical expenses normally works. Okay? Now, here is the warm-up exercise that I'm going to go over with you. Okay. For example, the total income for Stokes, head of the household with 2 children, she has a salary of $100,000. She has the following expenses: medical insurance premium, $3,700, doctor and dentist bills, $6,800, doctors and dentist bills with 2 children, let's make it up a number, $5,200, prescription medicines, $400, and non-prescription insulin. Now, whenever you see the red highlight, just to point out, non-prescribed medicines that you get over the counter is not deductible. So that's why I put that red highlight on there, which is not going to be calculated in this equation here. Such things like Advil. If you buy Advil out of the counter, you cannot deduct that. Only prescribed medicine that you can deduct on your tax return. So if you add all these figures together, and the total medical expenses is $16,100, excluding the non-prescription insulin. Now, most people would think that you can deduct the $16,100. Not. You can only deduct 7.5% of your total income. So if you look at this calculation here, as I mentioned earlier, you have $100,000 of income minus 7.5. So you multiply this two together. This is, it will have to exceed this amount here. So if you take the difference, the 7,500 minus the 16,100, this is your total deduction that you can. This is the total expenses that you can deduct on your Schedule A, which you can take out the deduction. But it will have to exceed whatever the standard deduction of the filing status is, as I mentioned in my previous presentation. Okay, now I hope you understand that. All right. Now, moving along, we're going to talk about health insurance. Health insurance is one of the things that you can deduct on your return. And basically what it is health insurance is a type of insurance coverage that typically pays for Medicaid, surgical prescription, dental expenses and stuff like that. In order for you to deduct that, you would have to buy the policy. You would have to buy the policy and make a monthly payment in order for them to cover. Now, those are things that you can write off. Now, I'm going to bring you some other information too. Now, most employees will get insurance through their job. Now, when you get your W-2s, you may want to look at it carefully. So when you go to your tax preparer, you may want to challenge them on why they are not, how can they get their medical deductions through your job on your tax return. Now, if you look on the W-2, you're going to see, if you look on box 1 and box 3 and box 5, that is your total salary for the whole entire year. Okay? Now, to determine how much you spend or how much they deduct from your paycheck to pay your health insurance, you're going to look on 12A DD. Okay? If you look on 12A in a code DD on your W-2, they will tell you how much you spent for the whole year for medical insurance. And the way that you can tell that you can deduct that, let me back up a little bit. There's a difference of pre-tax and post-tax. Now, if it's pre-tax, then you cannot deduct the medical expenses. If it's post-tax, which is the example I'm showing here, you can deduct that. So if you look at this here, and you look at the box 1, you show there's no difference there, meaning that you can go ahead and take this $16,200 as a medical deduction on your tax return. So when you get your W-2s, please pay close attention to that. Now, here's a difference where it's something is pre-tax. Okay, let's say again, this is the $16,200 that they took out for health insurance through your job. These are the 3 and 5 is the total salary that you made. But if you look on box 1 of the W-2, you can see a difference there. So if you take that $16,200, subtract it from the $100,000, this is the amount of money you're going to be taxed on. So that means that it's pre-tax. You cannot deduct pre-tax deductions because you already got the benefit, because you're only being taxed on the $83,800 instead of $100,000. I hope that makes sense. Now, we have some people, retirees, who are receiving a pension. Okay. Now, if someone gets the retirement from the pension, they get what you call a 1099-R. And if you pay health insurance through your retirement, you can deduct that well. And the place where you can pick that information up, as far as the amount that you pay for health insurance premium, is on box 5. So any amount that's on box 5, you could take that as a medical deduction as well. Okay, now you have people who got Social Security benefits. Okay, and they receive that at the end of the year. Now if you look on the statement here, if you see where it says Medicaid premiums deducted, this amount here, or if you see anything that's written that says Medicaid Part A or Medicaid Part B, you can write that off as a deduction as well. I do want to point that out as well. So moving right along, copays. Now, when you go to the doctor, if you go such place like Kaiser Permanente or Blue Cross Blue Shields, and they make you pay a copay, $20 copay, $30 copay, you can write that off as a deduction on the Schedule A as well. Dentist, if you go to one of them dentist offices and it requires you to pay a copay, you can write that off too. If you go into the hospital and they bill you for it and you pay on your hospital bill, you can write that off as a deduction as well. Laboratory fees, sometimes you go in and get your blood work and take your blood, and they bill you for it and you pay on it, you can write that off too. Now I just want to let you know, because I have clients who present me with a bill and saying that, hey, they charged me for this and they want to try to write it off. You can't do that if you didn't pay on it. So I just want to put that out there. Now, the interesting part of this here is travel medical deductions. So let's say, suppose if you're going away on a cancer treatment that's out of the state, you can deduct mileages off of it. Okay. I'm going to get to that in a minute, but I do want to point out that if you go to the regular doctor, round trip to and from the doctor's office, you can write the mileage off of it. And I believe that this year is 20 cents per mile. Mileage to and from out of town treatment, you can write that off too. You can write off the mileage, the airfare tickets, the cost of the treatment facilities, and if I haven't mentioned it, the mileage to and from the treatment, out of town treatment. Now the only bad thing about it is you could deduct the hotel cost for staying there while you're away on the treatment. The only thing is that you can only allow to deduct $50 per night. Now, if they are treating a minor and if you claim it on your tax return, you can claim up to $100 per night. I mentioned that the car